What's up with all these NPC kids lately? Now, it's a bit early for this, but let's talk about Shneznaya. Scattered as they are, we actually have quite a few clues about our final nation. Disclaimer, this is all theoretical and you are responsible for making your own conclusions. Timestamps and references will be in their proper place. This kid named Helka gave us our second glimpse of Nod-Krai, the first being from Liban. However, we only gleaned from him that there's an organization in the city that probably scammed him for everything he's worth, buying his entire inventory and then, likely, arranging to steal those funds on his way out the door. Quite the welcome, I'd say. Now, this organization is no doubt the same one Helka is in, and Liban's experience gives me some good old Bratva vibes. Kinda like how Inazuma had the Shumatsuban, Sumeru and Mercs, and Fontaine with the Spina de Rosula. These all take inspiration from their respective cultures. However, the story's use of large organizations in the past has always been to aid the traveler. This is most important because with Shneznaya, we're treading into the heart of the Fatui. In fact, we might have heard about these people way back in version 2.8. Remember the event that came with this outfit for Diluc? Well, who wants to bet that these were the same people that helped him infiltrate the Fatui? Yes, I'm aware Alice and her gal pals might have had a finger in that pie, but we're talking about Shneznaya here. Basically, these guys from Nod-Krai and the Fatui are probably at odds with each other. But I doubt they can be open about it, seeing as the Fatui are Shneznaya's military. It makes me wonder though. We've made friends with the 4 Harbingers stationed outside of Shneznaya: Arlie, Cap, Scar, and Child. Though I'm really not sure what Child's role is, or what kind of command he may or may not have. Now, remember that Golden Apple Archipelago event? The Fatui there admitted that they have some kind of bulletin board with our face red flagged. Now, this has no backing, but personally I think they could get their info easily passed along by Catherine via secret password accessing alternative data. But speaking of the Fatui, we've done a lot of good, but we also toasted La Senora and countless minions. And since the Harbingers we've helped seem to be outliers, I don't think the good we've done means all that much to the Fatui. Chances are we'll get lassoed into helping those Nod-Krai peeps before we even make contact with the Fatui. I want to talk about the influence of the Abyss next. Now, in my previous video, I made the assumption that the land itself might be corroding into the void. A void? This was in reference to a game called Golden Sun. In 3.1's Weinlisa Fest, we had a letter from Varka. He states that Mondstadt's expedition team is currently in Shneznaya because of some dangerous secret. The suggestion that Mondstadt will be tied back into the main story is, quite frankly, promising. Can we finally get Venti's second story quest, maybe? But it implies that a major secret, likely part of Mondstadt's history, is tied to the north. And we know that the Abyss is kind of a big problem in Mondstadt for some reason that wasn't quite explained. Perhaps this goes back to the reason why the Tsaritsa cut ties with Venti 500 years ago. Now, canonically, Shneznaya has the strongest military of Teyvat. Surely it's because of a close proximity to the Abyss. See, abyssal monsters like the Mimi Flora are sensitive to elemental energy. In that land, a Night Soul attack is particularly potent at stunning these creatures. But the unique thing about Shneznaya's military is that they all use elemental power, especially the elites. Even the Mirror Maiden's description implies she's seen some horrific sights. And you remember these guys in the chasm? Well, Liyue's Qixing allowed the Fatui's military to enter the chasm, a place that had become full of abyssal mud. Perhaps why they offered, or why the Qixing agreed, was because this military force is especially effective against abyssal enemies, whereas the Millelith are not. After all, the Fatui mass-produce delusions, feeling that it's unfair for some to be favored and others to be denied elemental prowess. Add protecting one's home, and elemental power being the only real defense against abyssal tides. Let's just say I now understand why so many citizens would willingly kill themselves with delusions to protect their home. Shneznaya really is the land whose creed is love and familial bonds. It's a good guess that the Abyss is likely overtaking Shneznaya, perhaps like a hollow zone in Zenless Zone 0. It fits in with Child's backstory as well. The whole falling into a fissure for 3 days and 3 months, then later not being able to find the same place again? It smells of random portals to abyssal dimensions that disappear just as fast as they appear. That, or Child literally fell down a hole he couldn't find twice. Shneznaya is the perfect opportunity to expand on Skirk. How so, you ask? Well, one cryptic hint that she threw at Nerve mentions not having seen the surface for a long time. She even identifies herself, or at least her master, as being greater than humanity. Now, Skirk has lived with Sertology since she was young, but I want to take things a step further. That both of them could be living with another underground civilization. Mind you, not Kandria, as that place is a smoking heap of rubble. Here's where one of Helka's hints comes in for me. The Frostmoon Scions, saying they're odd and prefer the wilds yet regularly visit an island of dragon technology. Back in Fontaine, I made a video about the book Parent Harry, as it was the first mention we had of a Crimson Moon dynasty. Now, I declared that there wouldn't be only 2 dynasties, but 3. 3 Moon Sisters, 3 Moon dynasties. Seems logical, right? We know the most about the Eclipse dynasty, aka Kandria, cause this is where Dane, Piero, Captain My Captain, and about half a dozen other noteworthy dudes are from. No questions asked, this dynasty is underground. The fact that 2 clans are named after moon phases in a game where 3 moon goddesses are kind of a big deal? It's a pretty good guess that the Godless Eclipse dynasty worshipped some kind of entity. Maybe an entity seen by others not as a god, but a monster, or even a force of nature itself. Likely, them Red Moon guys had their own version. And the Scions of the Frostmoon click right into place. You see, in old days before modern science, the phase of the moon measured out time segments that later became known as months. So each month technically has a single full moon, and each full moon has a name, such as the harvest moon. So the frost moon is actually what we call the full moon in November. However, the important bit for Genshin is that the frost moon identifies a moon phase, so we have 3 alignments of celestial bodies. The eclipse happens when the moon covers the sun. The red, or blood moon, occurs when the earth covers the moon from the sun. And a full moon, far more common, happening when the moon is behind the earth but not covered by it. See, I have a strong feeling that these Scions of the full moon are remnants or descendants of a moon dynasty, and their fascination, or perhaps worship, of dragon tech gives me another idea. That the rooster is from these Scions, only because I'm 100% sure that elf-eared people are related to dragons somehow. I think Skirk and Sertology might live with these Scions, and something like a full moon makes the Scions come to the surface to worship their goddess. Or at least it used to, before the whole fake sky thing. You know how I said dragons have spaceships? I made a whole video about it. Well, the fact that we're getting another dragon tech island tells me we might get another spaceship. I would love to see Genshin expand the sci-fi themes into the main story. As a side note, here's something about Rosaria. I know Hoyo has this thing against expanding on characters from Mondstadt, but you know how she wears those finger claws? Her idle animation even draws attention to the fact. Well, the only other person who uses these claws is Skirk. No, Ningguang does not count. Those are Chinese nail guards. Layla's a close second, though all we know about her is that she's from someplace east of Sumeru. If not for that, she would be the perfect candidate for the Scions of the Frostmoon. But Rosaria is apparently from some mountain village. She could easily be from a region in Nod-Krai. Man, I would really love to get some lore about that. This is Say No to Kraken. Thank you for joining me on this short Easter egg hunt today. Try to keep warm out there, my dudes.